Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I am John Schmeelk. It's like being back with my best friend that moved away for the summer. I haven't had a chance to see him in a while or talk to him, but I'm back with the big man in the middle, Shaun O'Hara. What's up, big fella?
Hey, Johnny. It feels good, man. It feels good to be back. Were we a summer fling, and now we're back to the full long-term relationship, or
no?
How are you comparing it?
I feel like
we were on a break, to quote Ross.
I feel like we're like the two kids that went to school together in the fall and the spring,
right,
but then you went to some fancy sleepaway camp, but I stayed home. So I was kind of stuck all alone, and I was missing Shaun O'Hara. Yeah, that's how I kind of felt.
I'm not a fancy sleepaway camp kind of guy. Maybe I went to some meathead camp, or I did landscaping. I never went to sleepaway camp.
Now I know you were an offensive lineman. Were you even a bigger kid growing up in junior high school and high school and stuff like that, or no?
No, it's funny because everybody asked me that, what I was like when I was my son's age.
I've never asked you that. That's funny.
No, I was never the biggest kid ever. I was always just kind of husky.
Okay.
Thick.
Husky. I like that.
I think that was the name of my pants, my jeans. They were called Husky. I think that was a brand. So I was always just kind of I always had thick legs. I was always just kind of thick. I was never a skinny kid. I was never the tallest kid. But I was a meathead way back when. I loved contact, hitting people, physical play. That was always things I gravitated towards. But I was never a giant. I was never a huge guy.
It sounds like my 2-year-old who had to get 7 stitches last week after whacking his head on a chair. And then while he was bleeding out in the waiting room, he's sprinting back and forth trying to jump off of chairs while he's still bleeding out of his forehead. I'm like, you are... Yeah. You are the kid in college that is guys, let's ride the dinner trays down the hill. This is going to be awesome. Yeah.
I was full of bad ideas, and now it's coming back on me and my son because I'm like, dude, what were you thinking? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I would talk to my mom, and she'd be like, literally, you would rip every pair of pants in the knees. She had to sew rubber patches into the knees because I was ripping through pants on a daily basis. And she's like, you would never come home from playing without some sort of blood coming from somewhere. You skinned your elbow, your knees were bloody. There were at no point did I ever go outside and play. It was skateboarding, biking, whatever, and not come home needing stitches or band-aids.
You were a skateboarder, huh?
I was a skateboarder. Yeah, I had
That's surprising.
I had a Volterra. I wanted the Powell Peralta skateboard.
I don't know anything about
we couldn't afford that, so I think I got a Volcom or something, whatever Kmart was selling. My parents weren't willing to. I was big on skateboarding and BMX biking. The movie Rad was
BMX biking, I could say.
BMX biking, yeah. When I could first do an Indo, I thought it was a big deal. When I got pegs on the back of my bike, that was sick.
Pegs.
My 13th birthday, I got a Mongoose Decade Pro. It might be the best birthday present I've ever gotten in my life. I was so ecstatic when it was in my room. And I had front and back pegs. You want to talk next level.
So how many of your friends did you get hurt riding on those pegs as you were riding the
all
BMX?
Of them. Yeah. All of them, yeah. It was a wipeout just waiting to happen. Yeah, here's a great idea. Let's have a guy on the front pegs and a guy on the back pegs.
Let's flip.
You can't stop. Force equals mass times acceleration. Guess what? Those brakes do not work when you got 3 bodies on it.
So, Pierce, is that a record? We managed to go off the reservation during the open. That was pretty good.
That was good.
I haven't done that before.
That's why we can't do this for.
I know that is true.
We have too much fun.
If you're just like me, Sean, I had like 5 concussions by the age of like 10.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
Well, it shows.
Just jumping off stuff.
Well, you know what? Things have changed now, Pierce. Now you have to wear helmets, so that might have helped you back then.
I was more just climbing trees and falling out of them and stuff.
Oh yeah, you don't wear helmets when you climb trees.
Yeah, I did not. I this is not my parents' fault. It was the times. I never wore a helmet riding my bike once in my life.
I didn't even own one.
No, neither did I. No, I didn't own it. And I never even thought to put one on either. And when we got older and then the next group of kids started wearing the helmets, like, you guys are losers. That's pretty much what it was. And now with my kids, I'm like, get your damn helmet on right now.
Yeah, I think batting helmets and football helmets.
Yeah, that's it. Batting helmets and football helmets. And then I was a genius once. So we're baseball practice during the week. And I always wore my batting helmet. For some reason, I forgot to put it on for batting practice, and I was one of the better hitters on the team, and Omar, who was our big pitcher, was throwing batting practice, and we were friends, but we had like the rivalry, so he was dealing.
Oh yeah,
right in the cranium, dude.
He drilled you.
Oh my gosh, it hurt, and I was like, and after that, I was stepping in the bucket for like 6 months. It was bad.
So you took a fastball off the dome,
dude.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. Does absolutely 100%. All right, let's get to it, Sean. I want to give you a chance to react to the Giants and Browns game. Let's get back on the tracks here. Obviously, a really good win. You could take this any way you want. I gave my take yesterday, but given the defense they were playing to score 3 touchdowns in the first half and Daniel Jones to throw 17 of 19 completion-wise, just a really impressive offensive performance.
I think certainly a lot to unpack here. And I think, how do you spell relief in the NFL? W-I-N. And I think this game, the way that they won the game, the opening kickoff is fumbled. And you basically spot the Cleveland Browns 7 points right out of the gate. When you talk about winning on the road, it's, hey, we want to start fast. We want to score first, take the crowd out of it. That all went to hell in a handbag right out of the gate. So I think the fact that this team just willed themselves back into the game speaks a lot about the culture. We got a lot of calls last week about that were very anti-Dable and about, hey, look, I'm done with them. Like, people were burning their Dable gear. This team showed the resilience and, hey, look, you know what? We're on the road. Something bad happened. We're going to fight our way out of it. And
as bad of a start as you can have, by the way. I mean fumble, touchdown.
You're basically just, you started the game. You said, here's 7 points, And, I mean, for those of you who are paying attention in Vegas, I think it was 6.5. So they were basically, there you go. They that came to fruition. I think when you look at offensively how well they played, it wasn't, hey, man, Malik Neighbors broke a tackle and broke 60 yards, 70 yards for a touchdown. They get supposed to play. They were 13 and 14 play drives.
From inside their own 10.
Yeah, so the ability to string all that together,
and
that shows
one of those,
that cohesiveness and the chemistry that's coming together.
They overcame 2 holding penalties on one of those drives. In the last 3 or 4 years, when the Giants committed an offensive holding penalty on the drive, it was like, all right, punt.
Right.
Like, first and 17, you're finished.
Second and 16, and they get half, and then they get a first down. Like,
I know.
That would normally be a death sentence for that drive. So I thought that was excellent. And this is a great defense. We were here talking last week. I was with Madeline, and we're talking about, wow, this defense was the number 1 defense in the league last year, number 1 pass defense, number 1 third down defense. And let's not even forget about Zadarius Smith and, Myles Garrett on the other side. So this was a big challenge. I thought the protection all game, I mean, look, there was a couple plays there where DJ took some hits and took some shots, but the protection was excellent for the most part. And I think he had time to make a lot of big-time throws. And I think he did just that. So as much as people were hammering Daniel Jones and, even for the last 2 weeks of the season, people come up to me, I don't know about this guy. Like, people are still on the fence about Daniel Jones. Look, this guy played his butt off in a hostile environment, and he made some unbelievable throws, some great plays. Did he miss a couple throws? Absolutely. He'll tell you right now there's a couple throws he wants back. The first throw up that he tried to hit Malik Neighbors out of the slot.
Slot fade, yep.
Look, I mean, it was just a little bit, it was a little bit overthrow.
A slant to Robinson over the middle that was just out of his reach. That could have been a big catch and run.
I mean, there's a couple of those, but some of the dirty throws, and when I say dirty, are throws that he's getting hit. The touchdown in the back of the end zone to Malik Neighbors, I mean, he's getting drilled by Myles Garrett right after he releases it. So that was really encouraging.
And by the way, I thought Jones made the offensive line look better because I do think there was some pressure, but I thought DJ did a real good job anticipating the blitz, seeing the blitz coming. He had that one play in the first half on the 3rd and 5 where he avoided 2 or 3 sacks, got out there, threw it to Wan'Dale Robinson to set up the 4th and 1 that Neighbors got the end around on. So I thought his pocket navigation, pass rush awareness, and I think maybe this is a product of actually having decent protection for like the first time in his career in the first 2 games this year. I thought it was some of the best I've ever seen from him in his career as a Giant, to be honest with you.
This reminded me of Daniel Jones at the end of the year 2 years ago, as the Giants were really, making that playoff push, and the game here at home against the Colts when they had to win that game to get in the playoffs, and he basically put the team on his back and threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 2 touchdowns. His navigation, to your point, like sliding up, that was such a big part of it. He just slid up. When you have those 2 edge rushers, you slide up in the pocket and then you move laterally. And I thought he did a great job doing that. There were a lot of dirty yards that he got by scrambling, running out of pressure. He had a number of good quarterback draw runs. I thought he could have scored on one of them if he had followed the block a little bit better of John Michael Schmitz as he went up to the backer. Instead of cutting outside, if he had cut inside, he might have been able to score. But
always defending the center.
John Michael did a good job. You just go down the midline and let the running back decide or the quarterback decide. But yeah, he did a great job with that. And then even there were times where he moved out of the pocket and still was able to throw on the run, which is not easy to do. I think the one thing that I noticed too, some of those times when he was stepping up, really great awareness with the ball security. A lot of times you'll see quarterbacks kind of step up and that ball is out and it's flailing. When he would step up, you could see that left hand immediately go on that ball, protecting it, because he knows the type of rushers I'm going against. He knows what Myles Garrett likes to do. You run by. We saw Brian Burns do it to Deshaun Watson. You just run by and you just swat at that hand, and the ball is out. So really good job. Awareness, that's something that you have to practice, so it just kind of becomes second nature. So great job by that. And look, we're talking offense. We're giving out some awards and some daps.
Let's go to the defense.
We got to give Dable credit.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Look, guess what? It's week 3. Things are starting to come to fruition. Week 1 and 2, look, it was sloppy. This guy messes up. This guy goes the wrong way. We're starting to see some growth there offensively. And I think for Daniel Jones, look, it's his 3rd game too. The first game back, there was absolutely rust. I mean, it's Cole Trickle getting back in the car after a big crash. Like he's got to kind of work his way back into game shape and being able to move in the pocket at that speed and still make those throws consistently.
And those screen passes just timed up perfectly. The Giants executing screen passes. How about that?
Yeah,
so I'm with you.
Tight end screen pass. We saw that play in Houston, right? And Dable was so excited. I remember when we talked to him before the game, and he was like, yeah, you might see a tight end screen in there. We're going to try to get Theo the ball. That was the same exact play from the Houston-Texas pregame. And I tell you, man, he's going to break one of those pretty soon.
I can always rely on you to be mad about an offensive hold that shouldn't have been. But Daniel Bellinger, man, that was a rough call on that one read option.
That was so ticky-tacky.
He could have just tossed him.
Yeah, and it was like it was a punch, grab, let go. It wasn't like a punch, pull, punch. It was. I don't know. I mean, sometimes, look, the referees, it's week 3 for them too. And sometimes they see things. And I think the one thing I know about the referees, they're taught you have to see it. If you absolutely see it and it's glaring, throw the flag, because they get graded. So the referees are going back now. They're getting graded on, hey, was that a hold? You know what? The NFL and the coaches and referees, like, if it's not a dramatic hold, if it didn't impact the play, then we don't want to call that. Like a hold away from the play, like unless it's egregious, it shouldn't be called. That one, I don't even think it was an impact. But yeah, you mentioned the screen. Also, the Devin Singletary screen. There was a nice run on that. Really nice blocking out in space. Good play call.
Yeah, he has such good contact balance, Devin Singletary. And then the smart play, obviously, kneeling down before the end zone on that.
We just got to go high and tight. We just got to go high and tight with Devin. That's
2 fumbles, too many, and he has never had ball protection issues, as far as I know. I went back, I didn't notice any bad fumble issues. So defensively, Sean, I joked after the game on the post-game show that last year, how many games did we walk out of and said this exact thing? All right, well, you went down 2 scores early. You'd have banged up offensive line. The other team had a lot of pass rushers. And boy, our offense just couldn't get anything going because our quarterback was constantly under duress. Well, guess what? The Giants were on the other side of the ball on that this time. Yeah. They were the team with the good pass rushers, and they completely threw that Browns passing attack out of whack because it was a team effort. Guys in the backfield, from Ojulari to Thibodeau to Burns to Dexter, Jason Pinnock, they were in the backfield all game long.
Yeah, Micah McFadden was back there. I mean, it was an impressive performance, and it also, watching the Browns, it kind of had flashbacks and PTSD from last year, because that was what our line looked like.
Oh, it was exactly.
And
it
Andrew
looked like
Thomas
the Giants
was
game.
out. Look, the Browns were without their starting 2 tackles in the first 2 games of the season. Jedrick Wills came back and played a little bit and then was out, but Jack Conklin was out again. So, and then Wyatt Teller got hurt in the game as well. So they're banged up front, and we took advantage of it, as we should. You don't ever apologize for that. But Brian Burns, he was so impressive what he did off the edge. Thibodeau was constantly in the backfield, and Dexter Lawrence.
And Ojulari was
swallowing people up. And Chatham. We got a Chapman. Chapman got a recovered fumble. He got his first sack on a little twist game. It was awesome to see that energy. The defense, no doubt, they were jazzed up. They were fired up. And to be honest with you, they should have had a couple more sacks. Like there was a couple times they got home and they got pressure on Deshaun. He was able to scramble out. So 2 weeks in a row, athletic quarterbacks. We saw that with Jaden Daniels. We saw it again with Deshaun Watson. It's certainly something to keep in mind. Obviously, Dak is not of that same caliber. I don't think anybody would put him in that same category. But it's something, look, when you get home, you get a chance to take the quarterback down, you got to come through.
Yes, but I will say that Dak will be much more aware of that pressure and those blitzes to get the ball out rather than holding it like Deshaun Watson did in this game. And that makes this Thursday game, Sean, an entirely different type of challenge. Cowboys have a couple of rookies on the offensive line, but they still have a good group there. You're not going to get that level of pressure against them. And if you're going to blitz, and remember, great job Shane Bowen. He blitzed and played more man than he did in the first 2 weeks combined in week 3. He had more cover 1 and blitz reps in week 3 than he did the first 2 weeks put together. But much more difficult challenge against. The Cowboys can't run the ball a lick, but they can certainly throw it, especially with CeeDee Lamb out there.
Yeah, they have a lot more healthy targets too, right? For the Cleveland Browns, there was no David Njoku. Obviously, Nick Chubb wasn't there. Amari Cooper ended up, I think he got banged up in the game as well. So this is definitely a different offense. And as they switch gears now on a short week to Dallas, it's definitely a pass first, kind of offense. And it's morphed. It's morphed from what we expected from the Dallas Cowboys from the years past. Like it was always Zeke, and then it was Tony Pollard.
DeMarco Murray.
Last year, DeMarco Murray. All like that offense has changed. CeeDee Lamb really, he's kind of been a non-factor, and I think he's got to be frustrated. And we saw that kind of spill over into the sideline. So I'm sure that will be motivation for Mike McCarthy. We're going to get him involved early and often. Brandon Cooks is he's a perennial 1,000-yard receiver. I think last year he was a little banged up, so kind of a blip on the radar for him, but he's explosive. He's kind of their down the field guy. And I tell you, this Ferguson, the tight end.
He's a good tight end.
He's really good. He's as big as he is, he moves really well. So that's going to be a big challenge in coverage to see how do we handle that. Do we want to put a safety on him? Do we have Okereke on him? I think Okereke can run with them. But it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is to stop them. And look, Dak is, he's never lost to the Giants.
Since his rookie year.
He's won 12 straight. Correct. His rookie year, he lost. He's won 12 straight games against the Giants. And the last time the Giants beat the Cowboys, I think Andy Dalton was the quarterback.
That is correct. The last time they beat Dak Prescott was 2016.
2016. That's
a long time ago.
That's a long time. That's way too long.
I said on the postgame show, because Casillas is like, "Oh man, I played in that game." I'm like, "Yeah, you did, dude."
Yeah, I think it's. I think we're due for a tide change here.
Run the ball, Sean. I don't want to get too deep into this game, and then we'll get to your calls. You can look ahead, look back, whatever you want to do. But the Cowboys, to say their run defense is poor would be the understatement of the century. I have all these advanced running metrics, and they all tell you the same. I'm not going to list them, because they all tell you the same thing. They're the worst rush defense in football. It's a disaster.
It's hard to do that with that much talent.
Well, but they don't have a lot of talent up the middle, right? You talk about baseball, You want to be good up the middle, catch your shortstop, center field. Well, their defensive tackles is, we all love Linval.
Yeah.
But Linval's up there. He's not what he used to be. Mozzie Smith hasn't worked out. The linebackers aren't great. So they have not quite, even with the scheme change, going from Dan Quinn to Mike Zimmer, that run defense is extremely problematic.
I think that's one of the interesting aspects with this whole Cowboys defense is that scheme change and that philosophy change with Zimmer. And, with Dan Quinn going to Washington, look, we're seeing a ripple effect now of, hey, these guys are learning a little bit of a different defense. So a lot of big plays. But to your point, the Cowboys, they give up, 250 yards rushing against Baltimore?
Yeah, they're averaging 187 a game against
It's ridiculous.
I
think they set a record for the most amount of rushing yards allowed in the first 3 games of the season. That's how bad it is. Now, there's also a reason for that because they're struggling on offense. So guess what? In the previous years, when they're lighting it up, and now they're up, and the other team's got to throw the ball, they're not running the ball as much. They were down 28-6, I think, against Baltimore.
Yeah, one of the reasons CeeDee Lamb actually fumbled the ball going in inside the 5.
They're facing a lot more rushes, but I'll be honest with you. I think Micah Parsons, he has not really been a factor. He hasn't been taking over games like we've seen in the past.
Again, hard to if you're playing from behind, right? The pass rushers can't get going.
That's what he wants to do. He wants to get after the quarterback. They want to pin their ears back and just fly up the field.
Because they were down big to the Saints 2 weeks ago. They were down 2-3 scores in the first half of that game too.
Yeah, and Alvin Kamara went off. He had 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of a different defense. They've kind of lost their swagger, as they should. I'll say this too. Looking at Micah Parsons, he looks lighter. I'd really be curious to see what his weight is now compared to what he was. He looks a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, and I don't know if that's by design because they're planning on using him in space, but he doesn't look as big as I think he looked his first 2 years.
The best part of football season? Checking out the post-game stats. Which wideouts scored more than 2 touchdowns? Which QBs threw for less than 350 yards? Think you can pick who will do what before kickoff? Then play Pick 6 from DraftKings, an official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, select between 2 and 6 players, and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. It's that simple. And for all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 on your first pick set, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code DK1. That's code DK1 for new customers to play $5 on your first pick set. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits, only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Non-withdrawable. Pick 6 credits. Expire in 6 months. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
One other note I'll throw out there. The Cowboys last in the league in red zone touchdown rate right now, Sean. They've allowed teams to score 90% touchdowns in their red zone appearances. It's not good.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they've given up 72 points, I think, over the last 2 games. So if you get down there, teams have been scoring. So you have to keep that trend going if you're the Giants.
Let's keep that trend going. Absolutely. We need that.
And again, that comes down to stopping the run, right? If you can't stop the run in the red zone, teams are going to score touchdowns on you. That's just kind of how it goes. 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Guys, go check out the Giants Huddle podcast. Is Baldinger up there yet, Pearson? It is. Brian Baldinger, I talked to him yesterday. He kind of broke down the Browns. He looked ahead to Dallas a little bit. That's up there right now. Go check it out. Giants Huddle podcast, giants.com/podcast. Giants mobile app, or just search for Giants Huddle podcast or Giants Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. 201-939-4513. Let's get to the phones and say what's up to Vinny in Connecticut. What's up, Vin?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Good to talk to you guys. Hey, John, I didn't recall. I called in last week. Matt was on with you.
Yeah.
And I started the conversation talking about how excited I was about how the Mets season was going, and then you threw some rain on my parade.
No, I didn't. I did not.
Hold on.
I did not say one negative thing about the Mets. All I said is that the Yankees were also in first place, and everyone lost their mind over it.
Yes, 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 you did. You brought up the Yankees, and I can't believe that me and Matt forgot to bring out this important point to you.
What's that?
The Mets and Yankees played 5 times this year. How many of those games did the Yankees win?
I wasn't comparing the teams. Pearson, back me up here. Did I say one thing about the Mets?
Yankees stink.
How many of the games did the Yankees win?
I think they won one of those, right?
0.
Oh, they won 0? All right.
0.
That's fine.
Right. Listen, I couldn't wait to call in and do that. I'm disappointed Matt isn't on the phone with me. Anyway.
Vinny, congratulations. What do you got for us on the Giants?
All right, listen, on the Giants, and Sean, I was on the phone with you and Madeline a few weeks back leading up to that Washington game, and you had brought up such a good point that I've been bringing it up when I call in, and it's about you were saying, what is your expectation of the Giants going into this game? What is your expectation? I'll never forget it. I'm going to use this every week on every game that the Giants are playing. So going into that Cleveland game, if you remember, John, I had said I really believe they were going to win that game.
Sure.
I do. I really believe they were going to beat Cleveland, and it happened. Okay. Now going into this Dallas game, what is my expectation? Honestly, I'm scared to death. I don't know what to expect in this game. I really don't. I don't know which Giant team is going to show up, and maybe I'm scared because the history has been so darn awful.
No, Vin, look, it is understandable to have Dallas Cowboy primetime PTSD given how this series has gone over the last 7 years. I totally get it.
Absolutely. So I'm like, okay, so what's my expectation? I guess to Shaun, my expectation is, I want us to build from last week. I want to see us continue to move the ball down the field. I want to see us score some points. I want us to see us play good defense. If it results in a win, that's great. If it doesn't, as long as we're in that darn game to the very end, I guess I'll have to take that. I'm not gonna tell you I feel like against Cleveland and I feel like we're gonna win this game. I just don't. I'm not saying we're gonna lose it, but I don't have that same feeling like we're gonna go in and win. I don't know. I think the only to win the game offensively, I really believe we just got to. Dable's got to do the same kind of thing. He's got to get creative with the plans. I think he's got to get the tight ends more involved. Continue with the screens, and we got to see DJ take a few more extra shots downfield. He's got to start acting on these deep throws. I feel like it eventually is going to happen. I think last week was fine that he missed on a couple, but I really believe he's going to. I believe his confidence is building, and I believe this week he can connect on one or two deep throws. And on defense, they got to double team CeeDee Lamb, no doubt about it. They got to double. Yeah, they have to double team this guy all day long, and they got to put pressure on Dak. When Dak has pressure, he is terrible. He is terrible under pressure. So Shane needs to put that same defensive schematic together that he did this past week.
Yeah, be careful blitzing him, though. Veteran quarterback. He is a smart quarterback, Vin. If you can get pressure with four guys, great, but be pressure bringing too much heat against Dak. Because, you cannot blitz and double CeeDee Lamb at the same time.
Right.
You can't do both.
Yeah,
Pick one.
If you're blitzing, you're putting everybody at one-on-one. You're in man-to-man coverage out there, which I don't love that. I think you do have to bring some blitzes because you want to keep them on your toes, but you've got to be careful how you do it. And a guy like Dak, you want to do zone pressures. Zone blitzes are we're going to still just rush five guys, but it's going to be a backer involved. Maybe you're dropping a defensive end in zone coverage and you're playing zone defensively from a cover standpoint.
And Burns did that well last week, by the way.
Yeah, Burns is, he's athletic as heck, so he can handle that in space. I'd actually rather drop Burns than Thibodeau because I think Burns is much better in the movement and coverage skills. If you start blitzing more than five guys, now all of a sudden you're bringing a blitz zero. You're putting a lot of pressure on your corners and your safeties to hold up in coverage. But I think if you can get Dak to hold on to that ball and kind of hang in that pocket is collapsing quick. Like you saw what Dexter Lawrence has done in the past, and this Cowboys offensive line is not the same stout offensive line that we've seen year after year after year.
They got two rookies starting.
They've got some young bucks, and I think if you can rush four and if you can kind of make Dak hold on to that ball because, hey, look, nobody's open right away, now that gives you all kinds of leverage and ability to play different coverages, to double CeeDee Lamb. They know it. Look, everybody's trying to double CeeDee Lamb. Like, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
That's true.
So everybody's doing it. They're going to have to find ways, just like we're finding ways to try to get Malik Neighbors one-on-one. Like you were saying, we need more deep shots. Guess what? You can have a deep play called in the huddle. Hey, we're going to take a deep shot. You come out, and they're playing quarters coverage. You can't throw the ball deep. That's a pick. So you got to look at the defense and see what are they doing. If they're trying to take that away from you, you can't go deep. You got to hit the crossing route. You got to hit the check down. You got to just take the easy 5 to 7 yards. Now, the couple deep shots we saw DJ go, and Dable called the same exact play 2 plays in a row. All right, Malik Neighbors in the slot. The outside receiver runs just a stop route or a quick out, and the guy in the slot has now all that room to work on the sideline. They went back to back on that play because the first throw DJ kind of missed him. Second throw, he put it up. It was better coverage, incomplete. But the key with that is there was a one safety. All right, it's cover one. So they're playing man with a single high safety. He's in the middle of the field. Now you could take your deep shots.
That play doesn't work against cover 2 because the safety's sitting there waiting for
you can't take that deep shot. So it's yes, they want to be aggressive. They want to push the ball down the field, but you don't go into the huddle and say, "Hey, we're going deep on this play no matter what." That's when bad stuff happens.
And by the way, that's the play that Neighbors just ate on at LSU. That was his play. He would be in the slot. They run the slot fade, and that's how we got him and Jaden Daniels. I think it was a record. It was the most production that a quarterback had gotten out of one play in the history of college football or something like that. Yeah. So my guess is that, it's not an uncommon play. You don't have to take that from LSU.
No, it's huge. Look, Victor Cruz, made a career out of it. Sterling Shepard was our go-to guy with that. Now it's Malik Neighbors, and everybody in the league is running it. It's a copycat league, as we all know.
Golden Tate actually ran that a lot too when he was here.
It was Greg Newsome, I think, on the second one, and he was all over him, and he read it. So you also, it's not just coverage; it's the matchup, right? So who are my guys going against if you can kind of see that?
Yeah, I think Diggs will probably be on Neighbors a lot in this game. Now, Diggs isn't the best tackler now, so I think you could get some Neighbors run after catch stuff because Diggs does not generally like to tackle.
And he's a gambler. He 2 years ago, he led the league in interceptions, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, things kind of fizzled out. He's not a big travel guy, too, from what I remember. I don't know if he's...
I don't know.
I don't think he traveled a lot, and that might have been more of a Dan Quinn thing, maybe with Zimmer.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Zimmer's doing it. Yeah. Because otherwise, they have a rookie at the second outside starting cornerback spot.
Yeah, Diggs was mostly on the left side, and he just kind of stayed over there.
Correct.
That was by design, so we'll see what kind of game plan they have for that.
And they have Jordan Lewis in the slot, who's a vet. He's been doing it a long time. He's a solid player.
Yeah. This will be a great game offensively because being at home, they need a good offensive performance, right? Because I think the Giants fans, look, it's great that we won, and it's like, hey, can we do that at home? Can we play well offensively, and that way our players aren't getting heckled on the way to their car again.
You're not wrong.
It's not just that we need to win; we need the offense to play well and to score points. Now, I will say this. We kind of got shafted here. All right, the Giants should have scored 28 points. Devin Singletary took a knee when Ahmad Bradshaw in the Super Bowl on the 1 yard line. I don't care that it was the right play. It felt wrong. Okay, Giants fans, and I know you're with me on this. We have not been able to score points for years. You don't give up touchdowns. All right. I'm also just speaking vehemently for my son who had Devin Singletary on his fantasy team.
Oh, no.
And he was why didn't he score, Daddy? That was fantasy football players, I'm sure you were upset about it. I think given how well our defense have played, it would have been fine if he scored and, wouldn't have hurt things. But
they would have won the game out.
It should have been 28 points, which that's huge. 28 points on the road. I'll take 28 points on Thursday night at home against the Cowboys any day of the week.
So, Sean, I'm going to bring this up for you. And obviously the fans can't watch this replay of the All-22 I'm about to show you. But what I enjoyed most watching this play, if I can bring it up here from the reverse end zone angle, and I'll let you do play-by-play.
No, you be Bob Papa.
Okay, you want me to do it?
Yeah,
all right.
Go ahead.
So we're showing the run here, and I don't care about the execution or making guys miss. It really doesn't matter to me. Makes a couple guys miss, gets outside. Now when he breaks away, the different guys doing different things. So you have... Let's say you have Illuminor and Van Roten, go score, touchdown, yes.
O-linemen are celebrating.
They're pumped. They woo. But then on the left side...
We got even a jump. Runyon's hopping.
Yeah. You got Wanda Robinson saying go down. And you actually have Runyon and I think Andrew Thomas saying go down too, right? Is he telling him go down or is he telling him to score? I think he's telling him to go down, right?
Andrew Thomas wired and I was shooting it and he was saying go down.
He was saying go down. So you have half the team saying go down. Those are the thinking guys. But then you got the three meatheads over here go score.
I'm team meathead. I'm team meathead. If you get a chance to score and just kind of put an exclamation point on it, you do it.
Look how happy John Michael Schmitz is after he gets up.
He's so
He's like
jumping.
A little kid. Look at him. He's so happy. He's literally skipping down the field. He's so happy. It's fantastic.
You work so hard throughout the game. How many plays were in the game? 65?
I think Giants had 71 offensive snaps.
So 71 snaps. And to be able to have a run play work like that, so that was a little speed option.
Yeah.
Right? It was a fake dive speed pitch to get to the outside of the perimeter. And there are times when you block that play perfect and just a receiver misses a guy or the running back hits the wrong hole and it's it's a 4-yard gain. Man, that could have gone to the house.
Yeah.
So when you're watching film, you're like, man, it could have gone to the house. When you spring one like that and you see him just running down the sideline, that's the best feeling in the world. And for him to take a knee on the one just felt very anticlimactic.
Hey, there's no better way to end the game than to do it in victory formation, right?
Okay, I agree with that, but here's the problem. You take 3 knees, you just lost 3 rushing yards. I've had a game where we had 102 rushing yards. So it's like, hey, we rushed for 100 yards. We took 3 knees, and we had 99 yards net rushing. We did not get credit for the 100-yard rushing game.
Did you say that to Tom Coughlin after the game?
Hell yeah.
And what'd he say?
He said, Coach, we better get a damn game ball. We rushed for 100 yards.
What did he say?
You can't go net yards. I want gross yards.
I don't want net yards.
He's like, yeah, we should have had more anyways. You know, like it should have had 150. It shouldn't have mattered. You know, I mean, it was something like that. I think I was grilling Kevin Gilbride too. I'm like, hey, instead of taking a victory, can we just run a quarterback sneak? Like, can we?
You want to risk Eli getting hurt?
I don't need to get out. So bring in Lorenzen. Bring in DeVito. Bring in. Yeah, we used to call him J-Load.
Rest in peace.
He was such a big guy. I love J-Lo. Yep. He was awesome. But yeah, you don't have to gain a yard, but we don't need to lose yards.
So Vinny talked about expectations very quickly. This Shaun, to me, in terms of feel of game, feels like that late Shaun O'Hara, Eli Manning, Tony Romo kind of shootout type of game here, right? With the way these two defensive have been up and down a little bit, except for the Giants against the Browns, which were obviously fantastic. But I'm going to go through. Going back to 2009, Shaun, these are the scores. 33-31, 31-24, 41-35, 33-20, 37-34. Then you jump ahead to like 2012, 29-24, 36-31, 24-21, 31-21, 31-28, 27-26. Like, you went through a period where it was shootout central, and you had Dez, and you had Romo, and Witten, and you had Nix, and Cruz, and Eli. This, for a while, was a high-scoring affair, and I think we might be getting into that territory again on Thursday night, which I'm sure Amazon would love.
It definitely feels like we're morphing into that, and I think a lot of that's because of familiarity with that offense. They've been together, you know. I mean, Jason Witten was there for 30 years. You know, Romo and him had a good relationship. Eli obviously was in the same system almost his entire career, you know, for those first 15 years or 14 years. So there's definitely familiarity with that. I do feel like we're morphing into that, and I think, you know, when we were going back to the expectations, your expectations change. Like in week 1, here are our expectations. We got a guy coming off of a major ACL injury, hasn't played since the previous November. Our expectations are there's going to be some rust. So like we understand there's going to be some of that. Now we're in week 4. Like, all right, the expectations, there's a crescendo, all right? Things are going up.
Crescendo?
So, yeah, there you go. I took choir in
Very good.
I was an alto. I was a baritone.
So you got off the skateboard and into the choir pew.
I did both. You know, like I want to be well-rounded. I was round, but I want to be well-rounded. So I think you look at these offenses, they should be starting to hit their stride. We should see a lot of points. This game very well feels like one of those games where it's going to come down to who's got the ball last. Now, I will say that from a clock management standpoint, Mike McCarthy has not been great at that. That is kind of one of his like calling cards. Is like people are like, oh my gosh, he's awful with the clock management. And he always awful at the end of games.
And he always uses 2 timeouts early in the half.
Yeah, burns the timeouts, or you know, I mean, and we've seen Dak implode too at the end of the game scenario. Now they happen to be in the playoffs usually, but you know, end of the game stuff, like anything can happen. I will say this though, like this rookie kicker for the Cowboys, Aubrey, is thunderfoot. Like, my goodness. Dude, he kicked a 65-yarder, and in preseason, it would have been good from 70.
Yeah, I mean, outdoors, he's going to be good from 65. He might kick a 70-yarder in Dallas this year. That's how good he is. Yeah. It's crazy.
So, I mean, to go in Nostradamus here, like this game, I mean, if it's coming down to a field goal, like, that is an edge, obviously, for the Cowboys.
All they have to do is get the ball to like the 45.
I'm pretty sure Gano's out, you know, on a short week. He's not coming back.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, he's on IR, so he's out.
He's on IR. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the kicking game could very well be a big factor in this.
Is someone cooking some bacon? Is that what I'm smelling? Is that bacon?
It smells great, whatever it is.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think it is bacon.
Smells like bacon.
They might be cheeseburgers.
They had beans and bacon.
Oh, calf. And they also had beans on the salad. They had bacon on the salad station today, which was nice. You don't get that on the salad station.
Somebody's hungry.
Let's another Vinny. This one's in Florida. He's up next. Hey, Vin.
Hey guys, Schmeelk O'Hara.
What's up?
Great to meet you. You guys totally threw me off when I heard Vinny in Connecticut. I was like, no, I'm from Florida, and I started talking until I found out there's another Vinny.
That Vinny, I hate to tell you.
I was shocked when 2 Vinnies called.
There are a lot of Vinnies out there, man. There are a lot of Vinnies.
Are you an IE or a Y?
That's a good question.
Y.
You're a Y. All right. So you're Vinny with a Y. I think the other guy was Vinny with an IE.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say, first of all, before I go into what I called for, Shaun O'Hara, you absolutely look phenomenal. When I see you on the NFL Network, I see a lot of linemen that are old and obese, because they put on weight the wrong way.
Shaun O'Hara, not
but
obese.
You look good, man.
Thank you, Vinny.
You look good.
Vinny, I appreciate it. You feel like I feel like my cousin Vinny right now. Like we're like, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. I realized early on, Vinny, that when I started doing camera work after I got done playing, cameras do add like 25 pounds. So there were times where I felt like I had 3 of them on me at times. So you definitely. I was on the slim slow diet, but I appreciate it, man.
Well, knock on wood, it's going to help you live a longer life too. But
my wife doesn't hope that's the case. But no, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, that's a big part of it.
Marriage is an eye opener.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to talk about. First of all, we scored 31 points in the game. Besides, because we missed the field goal in addition to sliding on the final 2 minutes of the game. So we actually threw away 30 points. If we get into a field goal problem, we're going to get crushed in this game. But the information suggests that the home team wins the majority of Thursday night games, and I'm hoping that is kind of the formula here. Maybe Dallas is a little sorer because they're traveling by plane and they played 3 hours later than us. But I think it's going to be an offensive game, and think it's. The defense isn't going to play much, but we may see a turnover make the difference in this game. The other thing I wanted to say is John Michael Schmitz reminds me of you from yesteryear because he's undersized, smart, and an overachiever. And I'm hoping that he can deliver the same results that you delivered when you were on the field. With the offensive line, because that offensive line back then was, the team played 16 games. The offensive line was in such continuity that I think it helped it, and that's going to be our secret ingredient to scoring points. Lastly, I want to see some other guys get in. It looks like last week Robinson got into the game plan as well as Malik Neighbors, so hopefully we'll get some tight ends, we'll get Jalen Hyatt, and we'll mix it up a little more because we're going to have to. Because I saw Dallas while they were down by 28-6, they threw to a lot of different folks. And, if we're going to get a pass rush or mitigate the pass rush, we're going to need to be in a place to be able to go to receivers other than Malik Neighbors, although he's been great. So thanks. I could take everything off the air at this point, but you guys are awesome.
Appreciate it, Vin. Thanks for the call.
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate you calling in. Full of compliments. Vinny, we can have Vinny on anytime. Vinny from Florida.
The check is in the mail.
Listen, with regards to JMS, John Michael Schmitz, I think he's doing great. And, look, last year was his rookie year. There was a lot of baptism by fire moments. I think he definitely looks like he is coming into his own. Like, you're starting to see the technique coming together. You're starting to see some of the power that the Giants saw when he was coming out of Minnesota. He's a thick dude. I tell you, I appreciate the compliment with, comparing us.
I think he added some weight in the offseason, right?
Yeah, he looks stronger. He's thicker than I ever was. I wish I had some of that thickness. I was kind of an undersized center, so I had to really just kind of be quick and use my technique. But he is powerful. Like, when he gets on guys, he can move them. I think he's starting to get better, too, with his kind of lateral change of direction and passing off twists and kind of anticipating things. That's a big part of the game. When you can understand and you see where linebackers and safeties are in the defensive scheme, you can anticipate slants and stunts. Hey, I'm getting pressure over here. I know this guy's going to move. So those are things that I think he's starting to pick up on. But I think this whole offensive line, look, John and I were talking about it right before we came on. Last year, coming into week 4, it was a completely different offensive line every single week. We lose Andrew Thomas on the very first drive against Dallas at home. We all remember that game. And then everything just unraveled from there. So for the first 3 games of the season, we've had every single offensive lineman play every single snap. That continuity and that chemistry is huge. And I think Jermaine Illuminor has been huge. He has been so consistent and solid. I think John Runyon has been great. And we're seeing how that consistency it's contagious, and now John Michael Schmitz, say, look, he's got familiarity with Runyon and with Van Roten. Andrew Thomas, he's been with the same left guard, every game this season. So that's helping all of that. We're not having the misses, the mistakes that we had anytime you interject a new offensive lineman. So that's a big part of that aspect. Look, I think they just got to keep the ball rolling. I will say this. What's interesting on a short week, John, and I don't know if we were going to have time to get in this later on, but
go for it. What do you got?
As a veteran, the older you are, the tougher it is to play on Thursday. The younger you are, the easier it is to quick turnaround. The Giants have a young roster, so I think that benefits them over the Dallas Cowboys in this short week and the quick turnaround. Also, the fact that Dallas has to travel. All right, so now they're flying up on Wednesday. I also think, and I don't have a stat to back this up, but I would really be curious to see what teams' records are the week after they play the Baltimore Ravens. Because tackling Derrick Henry is a monster, like that is a huge impact. Not just in that game, but the following week, and it's a short week. Like the fact that Baltimore ran the ball for as many times as they did and as many rushing yards, and Derrick Henry, he had at least 3 angry runs in that game. Like where he could have won the scepter.
He did win the scepter today. He won the scepter
with the stiff arm,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm. On Kalen Carson,
like
the
that
rookie
impact
corner.
on that defense, like they got to be banged up. They've got to be sore. They've got to be hurting because that's a tough offense to go up against. They've got a really good offensive line. Lamar Jackson is tough to handle. Derrick Henry, the byproduct of playing them is now you got to turn around and play in a game 4 days later. There could be something to that as well.
To his point on Thursday Night Football, Shaun, a little trivia contest for you. When's the last time the Giants won on Thursday Night Football?
The last time the Giants won on Thursday Night Football, let's see. I want to say it was the Washington Commanders.
Yes, that is
in
correct.
Washington. Was it Thanksgiving?
No,
or?
I'm not. We're not counting Thanksgiving because that's not technically Thursday Night Football.
Oh, okay. So
but
it was Thursday Night Football, and I
it
think
was
that
against Washington.
Was that
You
a
are
big
correct.
Saquon Barkley game?
They were actually at home.
Oh, was at home.
It was at home. Yes, and it was Thursday, September 24th. Guess the year.
Thursday, September 24th. That was early on. I'm going to say 2022.
2015.
2015?
It's been a while.
Oh, wow. That was a long time.
It's been a while.
Eli was playing.
Yeah. So it's been a while. Most of those games were on the road. I just cycled through them. I think they only lost one Thursday night home game to the Eagles during that period.
Who was the running back? 2015. Without looking up, give me your guess.
For the Giants?
Who was the guy that his celebration was open up? Was Bradshaw?
No, Bradshaw was retired by 2015, right?
The running back.
When
he scored the touchdown, he would do the open kick in the door.
Was that Rashad Jennings in 2015?
I think it was Rashad Jennings.
We'll have to look it up.
Let's check it out.
Who was the running back? It was Rashad Jennings. He rushed for a team high 32 yards in that game. Wow. But the Giants did win 32-21. Eli was really good. Oh, Kirk Cousins was the quarterback for the Commanders in that game.
Wow.
Played well. 30 of 49 for 316 and a touchdown. Eli 23 of 32, 279. And 2 touchdowns in that game. So
nice little history lesson there. 32 points, we'll take it.
And it's going to be about the same date too. That was September 24th. I said right.
And we were 1-2.
And we were 1-2. That is correct. So there you go. Andre Williams, BC man, 14 carries, 29 yards in that game. Oh my goodness, Odell Beckham Jr. not the leading receiver at 7 catches for 79 yards. Ruben Randall. Wow. 7 for 116 and a touchdown.
Wow, another LSU receiver right there. Right?
How about that?
Yeah, that's great trivia right there. I don't think you could have given me 10 guesses, and I don't think I would have pulled.
Oh man, Daniel Fells at tight end. I forgot that he was even on the Giants. Wow.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
About that. Anyway, 201-939-4513. Chris is in Carmel, New Jersey. Chris, what's up?
Carmel, New York, guys.
Carmel, New York. Sorry, my bad.
That's fine. First time caller, really. Thanks for taking the call. It's nice to find a place where we can talk. And people want this to get better rather than just give hot takes. And I know you got a share of that, too. But,
we try, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah. Season ticket holder here. And I'll tell you, walking out of the first game against Minnesota was one of the most miserable experiences I ever had. But, I'm coming up here with the win on Sunday. We feel a lot better.
Do you feel, Chris, out of curiosity, do you feel less bad about that Week 1 loss, given how good Minnesota's been since then? You have to, right?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, look at the way Minnesota's playing, and really, when you lose your kicker in the second game, there's a lot to say about that too.
We could very easily be 2-1 right now.
Yeah. And if we end up 2-2, a lot of people thought that would be the way it is, but these weren't the two games we thought we'd win, right?
Correct.
So, yeah. So it's just good to see that things are coming together, especially the offensive line. All we need is something like that's just league average,
Yeah.
To have this get better. And I kind of was downtrodden coming out of that Minnesota game, but I think we're going to have a much better atmosphere in the parking lot, and it won't be 70% Cowboy fans for a change. So
I hope not.
Yeah, but just want to throw that in, and just you mentioned Elijah Chapman before as a young guy who gave us something. I'd also mention Tyrone Tracy. I think did a couple of good things for us. So some young guys are really starting to step up, fill in, and I think the team's coming together a little bit, and a lot more optimistic.
Yeah, and I think as we go along, and I appreciate the call, good stuff. I think we're going to see a little bit more of Tyrone Tracy as the year goes along, and the trust in him grows a little bit. Singletary keeps fumbling. That might have a factor in that, too. I know they trust Devin Singletary, and frankly, Devin Singletary carrying the football has been really good this year. This is not taking any away from him, but I do think they think that Tyrone Tracy has some big playability they like to take advantage of.
Yeah, and I think he's got great hands, too.
Yeah,
so,
good receiver.
He had 2 catches in that game. I think you're going to see him on some screens. Obviously, anytime you have a rookie running back, you want to know, can he protect the quarterback? And so that's going to be one of the things that, as he proves that, hey, look, I could go out, I could pick up blitzers, then he's got to get more reps at that. I think it's a great 1-2 punch, and Tracy's got some spring to him. We saw it in the preseason. We saw it at practice. He's got a nice burst. He's got great vision. I really like the way that he presses the hole, and I think that's something that we've seen Devin Singletary do a lot of as well. So, yeah, I think I like Tracy. I think you're going to see him get a lot more carries. I'm all for running the ball more. I think it helps everything. It helps all of those aspects. I think when you go back and look at that Minnesota game, I wish we would have run the ball more in that game because I thought we were running the ball really well. So that's all in hindsight now. But, yeah, great opportunity here, and appreciate the call.
T. Mills on Twitter, Sean, aren't net points tiebreakers for the playoffs? I think it is way down, the 5th or 6th tiebreaker might be overall plus minus. But
if you go to a match of the cards, maybe down
correct.
There. Yeah, I think that would have to be that would really be down in the nitty gritty.
Yeah, you have to have tied conference division head to head, all that would have to be ties before you get down to net points.
Yeah, well, he's going deep.
He is. I just figured I'd point that out in terms of.
All right, I like it.
I brought him up. He was trying to back up your score, the touchdown points.
I like that he's already thinking playoffs. Let's go.
All right, let's go to Eric in New York. He wants to talk about the offensive line. Eric, what's up?
Hey, I just had a quick question about the offensive line.
Sure. Well, you got the perfect guy on to ask about it. So
I was waiting for him to get on, to be honest. So it seems like this year, not only have we did get better players. We know that through free agency and the draft with JMS, but it seems like as a unit they're working better, and that all comes down to coaching. But for me, I don't understand how can that be? How can a coach? These guys are all professionals, right? So how does the one coach? It seems to be that this new coach has made such a difference with this line, and I was just wondering what Sean's opinion was on that.
Great question.
Yeah, great question. And listen, I think you have to give Carmen Brasillo a lot of credit for what he's done and what he's brought to the table. I'll disagree with kind of what you said about that's got to be coaching, the fact that they were bad last year. No, we just went through it. That's injuries, and all of a sudden now you're starting young guys. Like Bobby Johnson's also the same coach that helped Andrew Thomas get to his first Pro Bowl 2 years ago. So you can't have one way or without the other. It's really hard to make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what? So
how many career starts did Illuminor, Runyon, and Van Roten have before this year? They're
proven veterans.
Correct.
Like John Runyon, I don't think he missed a game his entire career with the Green Bay Packers, and he's been the starting guard for them through and through. Jermaine Illuminor started 17 games last year for the Raiders. I think 2 at left tackle and 15 at right. He made some starts at guard as well. And Van Roten, he is absolutely a veteran. He's made a ton of starts, and he was with the Raiders last year too. So it's not just one thing. I think Carmen deserves a ton of credit because he came in and he didn't come in and change the offensive line to all of his calls and all of his offensive philosophy down with the Raiders. And I talked to him about this in training camp. He's like, no, I thought it was smarter for one guy to learn something new than for the whole room to learn something new. So he came in and he learned all of their calls.
Now he was in the same system, so I'm sure it wasn't
similar
completely
system,
new.
but
right.
even when you run a different offense, you may have one block called a queen block somewhere else, and then here it's called a cat block. So he kind of morphed his terminology and his verbiage to the blocking schemes to what the Giants were already doing, because he didn't want to have to change the whole room up. So that just kind of lets you know what kind of forward thinker he is and what kind of team guy he is. So this line is absolutely playing light years ahead of where they were last year. It's better players. It's more consistent players. I think the one thing that really was tough to watch last year was week in and week out, how many whiffs there were. Like, they were flat out just misses.
No hitters.
Like run plays, pass plays. There's an unblocked guy bearing down on Saquon last year as he's getting the handoff, and he hasn't even touched the line of scrimmage, and he's already dodging guys. Pass protection. There were unblocked guys that whiff, guards that miss right now. There were guys on the ground. And you turn on the film now, and it's like, man, like every play looks like a pro play. Like, guys are blocking guys. The pocket is there. I think every week this season, they've just gotten better in the pass protection. Now, look, there were 7 pressures I think Myles Garrett had, this past week.
And I've never seen a guy give Andrew Thomas trouble like that.
No, he's an elite player. He's on a whole nother level. Defensive Player of the Year last year. So, that's like going up against Jordan and saying, look, I held him to 20.
Right.
He didn't wreck the game, which is, that's always what you go into trying to make sure that doesn't happen. But I, without a doubt, I feel like this offensive line, their technique looks great. Their combo blocks look good. They look light years ahead of where they were last year, and I think credit goes all around. It goes to Joe Shane for bringing in consistent, dependable veteran players that have experience. It goes to Carmen Brasillo for implementing that mentality. I was talking technique, but it's also a culture and a mentality that he's kind of brought, and so you see all of that coming to fruition.
And so much better versus games, right? Over the last 8 years, Sean. And I appreciate the call. Really good question. The Giants have not been able to block twists and stunts. And this year, if PFF allows you to sort through that, the Giants are the 11th best team protecting against twists and stunts this year. They were 32nd, dead last year.
Yeah.
And they're going to see some of that from Dallas this week with Mike Zimmer coming.
No doubt, because Dallas, to be honest with you, those were the worst games, offensive line wise.
Absolutely.
Because Micah Parsons on a twist every play, and I still don't think anybody blocked them. So this will be a big challenge.
All right, our final call of the show is Scott in New Mexico. Scotty Doo.
Hi guys. First of all, Sean, I agree with you. In fact, I was on the show with John and Matt, and I had said that by the end of the year, this offensive line will be in the top 12 in the NFL, amongst the top 12 offensive lines, just on what I'm looking at visually. But I really wanted to talk about defenses today, if I can. I thought it was an utter domination performance by the defense in regards to how they eliminated Cleveland in certain aspects of what they normally do. As you move forward in the season, each team is different. And what I'm basically asking is, how much do you change? Because I noticed when all the information was given that Shane Bowen was going to rely on 4 to obviously create pressure, and he didn't do that in this game. There were obviously blitzes and more blitzes than I had seen the first 2 games. But now you're running into another opponent. I've watched Dallas, and I've mentioned this to John. I don't think they're as good as everybody says they are. And so as you look at controlling or using defenses, how much do you have to change from the formula that you saw in Cleveland? Is there certain different tweaks you're going to have to make per team, or the basic philosophy of what went on in the Cleveland game is something you can maintain and keep that as your prototype for how you can beat most of the teams in the NFL? And I've also said, and I've mentioned this to John before, if you can stop the run, you make the teams one-dimensional. So, and the Giants did that. So what I'm asking, basically, the techniques and what we saw in regards to the defense, can they maintain that? Or do they have to tweak it in some way, or can they keep the basic premises of what they did at Cleveland for the rest of the year? And I'll be glad to take your questions off the air, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Scott, for the call. Appreciate it. With regard to your question, the techniques, they're not changing their techniques, that's for sure. Do you do some different things? Yes, there will be some different wrinkles. And week to week, you have to have different wrinkles for two reasons. Number one, every offense is different. So 1 week, you may have an offense that keeps their back end to pass block every single play. And so now you want to capitalize on that. Who are we going to send as a blitzer? Well, we want to send a linebacker on a running back. If it's a team that keeps their tight end in a block a lot, you know what? Maybe you want to send a speedy guy, maybe a faster guy. So that kind of changes how you want to blitz guys. I think there's also, you go into a game saying, hey, here are the blitzes that we think we're going to try to run, and none of them get home. So now you got to say, you know what, let's try a different blitz. And now all of a sudden, boom, that blitz is getting home for whatever reason. And so you just say, we're going to keep running that until they put the fire out. So I think that you have to kind of go into it like being flexible. Here's what we like. But also in week 4, it's different now. Look, in week 2, nobody knew what Shane Bowen was going to do because he only had one game. You know, week 1 against Minnesota, he didn't show anything in preseason because he wanted some of these blitzes to be new. Now you've put 3 games on films, and now people are looking at your tendencies. Here's what they're doing on 3rd and 5. Here's what they're doing on 3rd and 7. Here's what they're doing on 3rd and 2. So as a center, back when I was scouting defenses, we would categorize what's their first and second down defense. What is their base defense? What other blitzes in their pressure packages in that base defense? Are they blitzing safeties? Are they blitzing corners? Is it linebackers? If it's a linebacker, is it one linebacker? Is it Sam Dog one free where just the Sam backer's coming? Or is it Sam Mike? Is it 2 adjacent blitzers? So you categorize all of that. And I think as a defensive coordinator, you have kind of your base defenses and your blitzes that you know your guys understand. So you can't just say, hey, I just want to run this blitz and just send all these guys out. No, you have to know and trust that your defense, if I'm going to send a blitz, that they're going to know if they motion across the field, that blitz is off. Like, are they aware of that? Because sometimes you can call a blitz in the huddle and they come out in a formation and boom, you see them checking, hey, check, 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 check. So that blitz is off based on what the personnel is and what the formation is. So there's a lot of BBF, we call it blitz by formations. So that is something that you kind of go into week to week and you change. Look, last week our blitz by formation was this. This week it's going to be this. So you do change a lot of that different stuff, and you do it based on scheme. You do it based on personnel. We talked about CeeDee Lamb. What are you going to do with him? So those blitzes week to week always change, but the techniques don't. And I think a lot's been kind of talked about how Shane Bowen said, I want to get pressure with 4. He wants to get pressure, period. And he wants his front 4 to be aggressive and to get after the quarterback. We're seeing that now. He talked about, I want a violent defense. Like we saw that violence against Cleveland. That's the kind of defensive front you want to have. You are going to have to bring pressure in other ways and sprinkle in other guys. That's just the nature of the game. And I think what you do as a good defensive coordinator is you go into it saying, okay, what formations are they running? And what formations can I attack? And is this quarterback susceptible? Some quarterbacks see safety blitzes really well. Some quarterbacks don't see the corner blitzes very well. So now you may have, you go back into history, what is this guy's history? What's Dak Prescott's history versus corner blitzes, which we call a cowboy blitz, ironically. If he does not see the corner blitzes very well, then guess what? You're going to fire it a couple times early on in the game and see if he can put that fire out. I think those are all big aspects in it. On a short week, I think less is more. On a short week, when you're not actually practicing, you're not going to put in a whole bunch of new blitzes and things that you could not practice full speed. It's going to be the stuff that we've been doing well, and I've always called it overcoaching. If you take things that you did well the week before out of the game plan because you think they're going to have an answer for it, you're overcoaching. Make them put out the fire. Like, hey, we did this blitz really well last week. Let's see if they can handle it too. And if they can't handle it, then you keep running it.
All right, 3 things real quick before we say goodbye.
Okay.
One, to me, this is a big show-me game for the Giants defense. Coming out of week 1, when Dallas played Cleveland, everyone's like, my gosh, Mike Zimmer, he's transformed the defense. They're fantastic. They're unbelievable. Then they get absolutely annihilated for 2 straight weeks. So is this the Giants defense turning a corner, or is it just the fact that the Browns offense is frankly not very good? So I think it's a big show-me game for the Giants defense. Do you agree with that?
I agree with it, and also because you look at the fact that they sacked Deshaun Watson 8 times. Coming into that game, Deshaun Watson was the most pressured quarterback in the league.
Correct.
So it wasn't like, hey, man, like all of a sudden we just dominated a really good offense, and this was a team that was struggling to protect the quarterback. So now, yes, they get 8 sacks on Dak Prescott, we're going to win the game. Like that's hands down. You could take that to the bank. Can they reproduce that pressure and that production?
All right, a couple pieces of news from Brian Dable's press conference, which happened during the show. Joseph will kick again against the Cowboys on Thursday. Adoree Jackson and Drew Phillips would not have practiced today if there was a real workout. They both have calf injuries, so calf, short week, probably not here, folks. So
yeah, don't like that.
Art Green, who, I got to be honest with you folks, and I'm not ashamed to say this, when they elevated him from the practice squad, I had no idea who Art Green was. Like, if you would have said Art Green is on the Giants practice squad, I would have said, okay, sure. Like, he sounds like a made-up name for, like, Madden creative player or something like that. So
yeah, it sounds like you combined two former Washington Redskins players, Art Monk
and Darryl Green.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Well, maybe he's fast.
Pretty good. And
He's got great hands.
And we also say congratulations to Osi Umenyiora, NFL's first ever International Ring of Honor ceremony. He's going to be one of, I think, the 2 players that are going in.
That's
now,
awesome.
here's my question for you.
Chief Osi!
I don't care about putting it in the stadium. I don't want to put it there. London, where should they put the NFL Ring of Honor? Name your landmark. Should it be like Big Ben, Parliament? You got, London Bridge. Should it be Buckingham Palace? Where should they put the Ring of Honor?
Great question. Buckingham Palace would definitely get the most eyeballs.
Okay.
Because everybody goes there. They want to see the changing of the guard. Big Ben, I think is cool, but it's it's high.
You can't really see the
way
names,
up there.
right?
Where are you going to put it?
I'm with you on that.
You don't want to look at it through binoculars. I think the London Towers, the
Tower Bridge,
the Tower Bridge.
Yep.
That could be a cool spot. But you know what? You know where it belongs? It belongs next to the Crown Jewels.
But no one gets to see it by the Crown Jewels, right?
You get to see it. You just got to go at a certain time, and you have a very short window. But why not put it next to the jewels? That's where everybody wants to go see the bling, so you can put it on display outside of the Crown Jewels somewhere. Maybe make it that a part of it, and then also they have guards out there too. So you have, that's always pretty cool to see the guards.
I was thinking Tower Bridges where they used to put like the really like bad prisoners. So you would try to protect them, right? And you want to play defense there. So I think maybe put the defensive guys by Tower Bridge.
So you split them up.
Then you have the guards at Buckingham Palace because you have, the offensive line protecting, you want to protect the Queen. So maybe you put the offensive players at Buckingham. Pearson, do you have something?
Yeah, I'm just going to go London Eye. The Ferris wheel, and then you could just see them spinning around all day.
You could put them on the cars of the London Eye. That is not a bad idea, Pearson. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's very good. I like that. Trafalgar Square. I know that's always a very interesting scene.
Yeah,
so
that's like the Times Square of London type of thing.
Yeah,
putting them on the actual London Bridge, like across, so when you're looking down the River Thames, like you can kind of see the names on the bridge. That could work too.
Yeah, the London Bridge is cool.
They also have that football-shaped building in London, which is kind of weird looking. Maybe you could put it on the football-shaped office building.
Is that over by the sky? I think that right, Pearson. What was that called? The sphere? No.
I don't know where the football-shaped building is, but there is a football-shaped building in London.
Yeah, I think it was over by the sky. London was a great city. That was awesome, and Giants are undefeated in London too.
But it's Stonehenge. How about that?
Oh, Stonehenge! I don't want to deface Stonehenge.
It's kind of a longer drive too.
It is It is cool though. If you guys have never, anybody out there have never been to Stonehenge, you're kind of driving out there and you're going like over a hill and it just kind of like reveals itself as you drive up this hill in the English countryside. It's very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
sounds great. Well, congratulations to Chief Osi.
Yes,
that's awesome.
And now he could be like Crown Prince Osi if he's going up in London.
Yeah, well, he's royalty. Like I know he is. Yeah, he's so add that to it. He's now like he's a chief. He's a knight. Like, right? Is he get like knighted now too? Does he get that kind of treatment?
Well, do you think everyone that goes in the Ring of Honor should also get knighted?
I think that should be a part of it.
I'm not sure the Brits would be down for that, to be honest with you. I think there might be some objections out there.
I think we can make it happen. I think we just got to put a little pressure on them. Like, it's a high honor. Who else went in with them? You said there was 2.
You know what? They actually showed the picture on NFL Network, and I saw Osi up there, and I did not recognize the other individual. Let me see if I can see who the other guy is. Jared Allen. Jared Allen is apparently born in London. Who knew? I didn't know Jared Allen was born in London. Did you?
I did not know that.
He always seemed like a down old country boy to me, right?
Yeah. He definitely seemed like he was born out in West Texas.
Correct.
He's been roping steers. That was his celebration. He would tie up the little calf.
Are they roping steers in London? I don't think so.
No, they're drinking pints.
Yeah, correct.
So maybe, he's doing that. He's also not scared to smoke a Marlboro Red. He's a different breed.
Pearson's got a lot of work to do. We got to let him go.
All right.
Guys, thanks for joining us on Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. Oh, this was fun, man.
This is great.
I miss you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not going to sleepaway camp next year. I promise.
Okay, I appreciate that.
We're not going to go 6 months without hanging.
We'll talk to you tomorrow at 12:30. Madeline Dottino tomorrow, I believe. Check that out. Big Blue Kickoff Live. Get excited, Pearson. We'll see you then. Adios.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart, so check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You go into your shower feeling... But as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.